versus time immemorial possession, because we believe even in the Bangsamoro context, they recognize the time immemorial possession of lands. Second, I have enumerated that brought about by the problem on peace and security, our communities are forced to flee to safer places, thereby abandoning their lands. And it is very obvious in most of our conflict-affected areas that most of our people have abandoned their lands, and these lands are sometimes utilized as camps of the MILF, and that is true in the Piris complex. They are vulnerable to exploitation due to poverty. They will sell their lands at a lower market value, like Myla had said earlier. And I borrowed the term of the Amnesty International in their study on informal land markets. For instance, if I am a poor farmer and I don't have the capacity to spend, or I don't have the capital for my farming, so I would go to a financier and I will borrow money. So it becomes cycle that I become indebted from that financier, and I don't have no option to pay him but to relinquish in my ownership. So these are also common to indigenous people's areas in South, not only in South but in some other areas. These are common to IP. So they are forced to sell their lands at a lower market value. Sad that it doesn't have even a formal, there's no formal transaction as to the sale of the property. The IPs are also faced with the problem on long period of time if they would opt for legal battles. That the one was mentioned by the MSU professor earlier, that the legal battle for land claim takes more than 25 years before an IP can reclaim his property. So these are also common experiences to our communities. We have our laws and policies on lands that contributes to divest ownership of lands from the IPs. To name a few, I'm sorry, my classmate, Director Saikon, because I have already mentioned Commonwealth Act 141 and the Regalian Doctrine. Similarities in the present. CA 141 to me, I understand it that it limits the number of, it divests most of the areas belonging to the indigenous peoples are being divested because they have to submit, or they have to conform with the laws and rules of the government in terms of number of hectareage that they will occupy or that they can own. So yeah, that's Commonwealth Act 141 and the constitutional provision on Regalian Doctrine. What were the similarities in the presentations? In the first and third, it mentions of armed conflict. So we can very well situate on that note because our most of the IP areas are in the conflict-affected areas. So the situation is that they will go to a safer place and they will abandon the lands, and they could no longer, they're no longer in control or in possession of those lands. So it becomes vulnerable to ownership by anybody. So when they go back, they had a difficulty in reclaiming their lands because there are other persons who are now in possession of those lands. So these are similar situations confronted by our indigenous peoples. In the second presentation, I have appreciated the roots of land conflict that it started far back from Portuguese colonialism. We in the Philippines are also faced with that similar history. Our history shows that we have experienced colonialism from the Spanish to American colonialism, and these colonialists were responsible in introducing land laws and policies at the disadvantage of the local folks. I have mentioned the CA 141 that provided limitation to land ownership, and the Torrens titling that formalizes ownership by issuance of a certificate of title versus the concept of time immemorial possession.